The Nvidia leak has proven itself time and time again to be the biggest leak in the video game history, leaking out multiple titles long before they were ever meant to be talked about. Among those titles was Final Fantasy IX Remake, a title just seeing and hearing makes you feel like you need to get your eyes and ears checked, particularly when you consider that Final Fantasy VII Remake is nowhere near close to being done, and with almost every single title on the list slowly being confirmed, including games that we thought were not going to be announced anytime soon like Kingdom Hearts 4, Final Fantasy IX Remake seems like a matter of when and not if now. So you'll want to hit that subscribe button as we report everything Final Fantasy on this channel. In today's news lends to the fact that we might be seeing Final Fantasy IX Remake relatively soon. If you recall, June of last year it was announced that Final Fantasy IX was going to be getting an animated series, and it was going to be done by a French studio. Since this announcement, we haven't really heard or seen too much about it. However, it was recently confirmed that this week we are going to be getting our first look at the Final Fantasy IX anime. When the studio behind the anime was asked what shows that they would be bringing to the event, they said, quote, "Our most recently developed shows, Digital Girl, The McFire Family, Press Start, and Final Fantasy IX, will be present for the first time. These 4 new series have a strong licensing appeal for a different age target." Speaking of age targets, it's worth noting that the demographic for this will be 8 to 13. This is going to be the first Final Fantasy to presumably adapt its entire story into an animated format. So then there is the question of Final Fantasy IX Remake, a title that was rumored shortly after the announcement of this anime, something that I don't think is a coincidence. I believe these two are tied together in some way. Just like The Last of Us 1 is being remade to tie into the HBO series for The Last of Us, despite it being the world's most unnecessary remake. My theory is that this show is going to tie into the remake of Final Fantasy IX. In fact, I almost wouldn't be too surprised if they shared some sort of visual identity in order to create a connection between the show and the game, making it all one big marketing push. Again, it's not the first time we've seen something like this. You don't need to look too far either. For example, look at something like Sonic Boom. Though if that is the case, I hope the anime and the remake create something that is true to the original game's art style, and not deviate too far. And if these properties do tie in together, they may even share a voice cast. It would only make sense for me that the voice actor playing Zidane in the anime would also play him in the remake. That's assuming that the remake in this anime will share some sort of vision, though in reality they could be entirely different things, all under the brand of Final Fantasy IX. With the anime itself being revealed next week, it then raises the question, when will we see Final Fantasy IX Remake be revealed? These indications seem to tell me that we will be seeing it sometime this year, and at the very earliest I think we could even see it in June, with Square Enix planning to make many big announcements for Final Fantasy for its 35th anniversary. But we're already going to be getting Final Fantasy XVI, as well as apparently Final Fantasy VII Remake news. Are they really, truly going to put Final Fantasy IX Remake on top of all of that? Is Square Enix determined to kill me, to work me to death? It would seem as though they are. You know, looking back at the 30th anniversary where we didn't get this is a nice upgrade. It feels like now we're getting everything all at once. Perhaps Final Fantasy can finally have an anniversary as nice as the one that Dragon Quest just had, where multiple games, remakes, and etc. were announced all at once. Dragon Quest XII, Dragon Quest X Offline, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Dragon Quest fans were eating real good. And now it might be time for Final Fantasy fans to eat like that too. And you can definitely believe we are starved for it. I wake up every day looking for that Final Fantasy XVI trailer to drop, and it has not done it yet. So I'm just gonna assume Jeff Keighley's hiding it in his stash for Summer Games Fest. Shout out to patron Tyler Erickson and the rest of the Ultima community.